In this episode of Detroit Performs, an artist explores geometric forms. A painter among a family of artists. A world-renowned visual artist visits the University of Michigan. And a crochet artist. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Detroit Performs. I'm your host, DJ Oliver, and today I'm at Next Step Studio. This is the studio and gallery of our first featured artist, Kaiser Sudan, who uses some familiar shapes to create powerful art. Check it out.
I think it creates peace when you have order. When everything's in order, life becomes easier, I guess, and less chaos. I started playing around with clay in 8th grade and just fell in love with it. I was always into gardening as a kid too, so playing in the dirt and clay coming from the ground, and clay being so tactile, you know, touching it and being able to do whatever you want with it. I guess I was fortunate enough to be able to take my creativity into the business end of things. I'm taking clay in a different direction. I did the traditional thing of pots and cups and saucers and stuff like that, and I just got bored with it very quickly. And then I moved on into doing installation work when I was in school, and that whole idea took off, and I started playing with different forms. First it was actually these funky teapots I made, and then that went into this conical phase with cones, and then now it's the jacks. I just like the shape. I mean, it's an iconic form. So I took it and started playing around with it, and the whole idea took off like crazy. I started with the gunmetal finish to mimic the metal jack, and then I started playing around with the color, and then now I'm doing the decal work. I have 2 assistants, and they do most of the casting. The one assistant, Peter from Cranbrook, does some of the glazing also. And we usually have a whole sound system throughout the whole place, and it keeps a rhythm going, and everybody gets along with everybody most days. And the process in making the work is plaster molds. They're a 2-part mold, and the process is called slip casting. So you put the clay into the mold, you let it set up, and then you pour it out. I have 30 molds on the small ones, and I think 25 on the big ones. So we can fill them all up in one day, but then they sit in overnight, and then the next day we take them apart, so it's a 2-day, sometimes 3-day process. Once they're out of the mold, they have to dry, and then we have to sand the line around where the 2-part mold comes in. When they're in the greenware stage, I'll carve into some of them. You'll see some of the jacks have carvings in, which is a lot of fun too. It's quite a process, and you got to open up the mold, clean them up, put them in the kiln, take them out. Then they go into the glaze section where we'll start glazing them, and I'll draw on some of them also. And then if I decide to do the decals on them, that's the 3rd step. We've got the numbers, the dots, whatever design I want. I mean, this is a really cool design that we put on them. And the beauty about the decal work is that if I don't like the way something comes out, or if I'm not happy with it, I can put another layer of decal on it and work over it. And then here's another design too. So on this, I'll put this on a cube. And again, I'm always working on 5, 6, sometimes 10 pieces at the same time because I'm layering the decals. I have a whole library of decals that I print out, and I mean, even the decal company kind of questioned, what are you going to do with this? And I'm like, well, just play around with them. So, and it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, again, taking clay out of the realm or out of the box, so to speak. You know, some designs are more successful than others. Sometimes I'm my own worst judge, but you know, if I don't like it, somebody will like it, kind of thing. I don't think there's any right or wrong. I get into a rhythm when I'm working, and whatever comes to mind. Sometimes I'll make notes when I'm on the road or whatever, sort of like what a rap artist might do, and then try to put stuff together. And I mean, you could actually tell a story. If I run into a psychiatrist or a shrink or whatever, or anybody that says, well, what's this all? I go, you know, I'll just say jokingly that's for a shrink to figure out, you know, why you do what you do as an artist or a painter or what have you, when you think about it. You know, it's all done very subconsciously. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing until it's done. I'm fascinated by letters and numbers, which you'll see in a lot of the work. If you see some of the words on the cubes and the jacks, and especially the cubes, it's just a play on opposite words. I thought it was kind of a fun idea, and people are fascinated by it because they'll stop and they'll start reading some of the stuff. People will interact with the work and whatever speaks to them in a sense. It's priceless when somebody comes up to me and says that, you know, a piece that they bought 5-10 years ago, whatever, still brings a smile to their face. It makes me feel good. It's about getting that reaction and creating a reaction, especially with the words on the cubes, provoking perhaps an emotion. And that's how you should react to art, and that's how you should buy art. Not necessarily with your wallet, but with your heart. Things that are connected into the gallery are my workspace, my home. Over the last 10 years, it's become a compound of sorts, and a maze. The other work that you see in the gallery brings joy and a smile to my face when I see it. Like the crows, I think those are very funny. They all have their own little individual personality to them. I represent Grace Ann Warren, who's a very, very talented painter, wax and caustic pieces. Mark Chatterley, who does the big ceramic sculptures from Williamston. There's a talented artist from Atlanta by the name of Joan Rasmussen that I show here quite a bit. Instead of having the gallery under my name, I decided to use Next Step because everybody has their next step and what they're doing in life. I mean, you'll hear that all the time. What is your next step? What are you doing? So I kind of grabbed onto that, and I like to take people who I think are talented and need a bigger audience and help promote their careers. To give back, to be able to be fortunate enough to where I got, to where I'm at, and to be able to help undergraduate students or graduate students and help them develop their careers.
You can learn more about Kaiser Sudan as well as all the artists we feature on DetroitPerforms.org. Safell Gardner is a master painter who is also a part of one creative family. Here's his story.
You know, I think I have the most success, and what I feel my success is when I come into the studio and I'm able to stay in the studio all day without leaving, whether it's 8 hours or 10 hours, 12 hours, and just work with my music on. I love listening to avant-garde music and things like that. So what happens is I'll just go into a piece and it's almost like I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow of what I feel, of what I want to do, and whatever colors are available that day. And then sometimes I'll work with 2 or 3 colors, and sometimes I'll try to work with every color that I have. But mostly, maybe over the last year or so, I've been trying to, edit the amount of colors I use. But it always comes to me as far as it's almost like it just happens, like you say, organically. It just happens, and those are the ones I have the most success with. When I sketch a piece out or draw something out, in the end, I really end up changing it. You're supposed to be seeing a lot of vivid color. You're seeing something that is what I like to say is creating beauty. The title of the piece is In the Crepuscule with Nelly, and I relate a lot of my work to jazz, and that's a monk tune, and just from the colors and things like that. So mainly it's probably for me to give you maybe a cue with the title, and then you can, go from there with what you feel about it. Okay, I'm married to Marion Hayden, the bassist, and I always tell people, when they mention other bass players, I always say, well, I say, who I'm married to? She's the best on the planet. The oldest son now is working on his master's, and he's also working with CCS as a community coordinator, I believe, and he's working with the DIA as a community outreach, and he's also working on his master's at Wayne State, and he's working on his master's in drawing. The youngest one is, matter of fact, he'll be 20 in a week, May 7th. His name is Tariq. He's a drummer, and he's his majors in music. He's majoring in music at U of M. So we stay pretty busy. This is an old fire station built in 1902. And I believe it is historical. I bought it a few years ago, actually in 2008. And we had maybe looked at it several years before that, and someone owned it. I think they were a ceramicist, and so at that point, I guess it became vacant, and they wanted to sell it. So I bought it in 2008, and so since then, I've been dividing my time between, painting, doing my artwork, and working on the building, and trying to keep it, livable. We went to this place on Goree Island called the Door of No Return, which was an old slave castle where they managed to bring slaves to for transport. And so they called it the Door of No Return because once you left that door, you either went to one of the Americas, or you either went to South America, Central America, or North America. Before that, like I said, before my trip to Senegal, I had been, using doors as far as some of the icons in my work. This piece is a more of a reoccurring piece. It's almost like, it's not like a nightmare or anything, but it's just something that just fascinates me as far as where my creativity is now. And I often wonder that if I were still in Africa or somewhere in Africa, or if, this thing hadn't happened, where would I be with my creativity? I kind of sell works kind of sporadically. It kind of comes and goes. I don't have a specific person that's out there just pushing to sell my work. I'm probably like the main one, and as an artist, I try to be here in the studio and work. And usually what happens, I think, good things happen if I'm here working. And I think that it's not easy to make the work. I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's easy for anybody anywhere. Art isn't being supported, as we all know, by the state or by the government. I believe in New York they had like that 1% for art. So if a building was being constructed, 1% of that, however much the building cost, went to buy art for the building. So we don't have that here in Michigan for something just to like supplement, artists that are making art.
What's up, guys? I am here in the back of Kaiser Studio, where he's working on some jacks behind me. Pretty cool. Next up, let's find out some upcoming events happening in and around the D. Next up, Ruth Weisberg creates a lithographic print at University of Michigan's Stamps Print Media Studio during her campus residency. She also opens up about her breaking the glass ceiling in her field.
We're really thrilled that Ruth is here at Penny Stamp School of Art and Design. Ruth is an artist that I have always admired for her work, her career, her humanist impulses, her connection to the past and relevance in the present. She's one of the foremost artists in the field.
I specialize in doing lithographic washes. It truly is not easy. You know, you can do a very elaborate drawing and then kind of blow it in the processing of the stone, and you know, there's always some risk involved, but the rewards compensate for that. The reward in lithography is the lithograph, you know, is that sheet of paper that has that particular vocabulary of the print and the possibilities of that visual language. I came to the University of Michigan in the fall of 1959. I was from Chicago and very ambitious in terms of wanting to be an artist, but institutionally there were certain barriers. So they weren't allowing women into the MFA program. Instead, we would be allowed to take MAs. To break the glass ceiling for anyone of my generation took not only individual effort and some courage, but it took a collective effort. Women had to come together and make demands and become very visible. Young people who want to be artists, whether it's now or 50 years ago or 20 years from now, it's a huge commitment. I mean, being an artist is a real vocation. It takes over your life. It is your identity. It's the way you see the world, how you interact with the world. It's a big commitment. You know, you make certain sacrifices. The rewards are enormous. I feel I have a strong message for young artists. My message is always be true to your own beliefs and aesthetic. Don't be cowed by the art world. Fashions come and go. That's not the way to calibrate a career. It's much more about being dedicated to your own vision profoundly and taking risks in that direction. I am an artist who did figurative art when it was totally unfashionable because I believed in it. And I felt that I had no choice but to be myself profoundly.
Toni Lipsey learned to crochet at the age of 13 and was immediately hooked. She welcomed us into her home studio where she turned strands of yarn into whimsical creations. Take a look.
Make sure I keep my count. Like whenever I'm crocheting, I count every row. I think playful and practical really helps me define kind of the things that I like to make, and especially the things that I like to share with others. If I could, I would love to teach everyone how to do this. I am the owner of TL Yarn Crafts. It's a crochet, home goods, and accessories business. I run primarily on Etsy, but I do a lot of craft shows around the holidays. I learned crochet when I was 13 years old. I was bored to tears over summer break, and I was driving my mother insane. And she was looking for something to kind of keep me busy, keep me occupied. And she grabbed a crochet hook and some yarn out of her stash, and she taught me how to make a granny square. And she told me, keep going, and it'll turn into a blanket. And I worked on that thing all summer. But I just remember at the time, like, just watching my hands make something that didn't exist before. It was kind of fascinating for such a young person, and I've been doing it ever since. I'm making an Albert. So he is going to ultimately be an owl, about ornament size. So perfect for like a Christmas tree or hanging up in your car, or, you know, there's always one owl lover in the family who can find something to do with an owl ornament. He's by far one of my favorite things to make. This is a wool blend. So if something happens to Albert, he falls in a puddle or baby gets applesauce on him, he can be popped in the washing machine. Really easy to take care of. I want people, especially for the first time, to experience crochet in a very simple and straightforward way. So if I can make it approachable, I try my best to do that. I keep a project bag with me everywhere I go, and I mean, if I'm at the doctor's office, if I'm waiting in the drive-thru too long, I'm pulling out one of my crochet projects. Wish I could just teach the world to love crochet. I wish I could, yeah. I mean, once you get your hands into it and you really experience, it's just fascinating. It's very exciting. It's not just your grandma or your aunt who made that kind of itchy sweater. It's something that is, that is contemporary and modern and that you can infuse into your own style. I will crochet all day, every day for the rest of my life. I want to kind of redefine how people see, crochet in their lives.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank Kaiser Sudan and the Next Step Studio for letting me hang out here today. This has been such a great place to hang out, and I know it'd be a great place to throw a party. Turns out you can rent out Next Step Studio for an event. Now that would be one cool night. Stay tuned for a special Shakespeare in Detroit piece, The Detroit Sonnets. Until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I'm DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Since brass, nor stone, nor earth, nor boundless sea, but sad mortality oversways their power, how with this rage shall beauty hold a plea, whose action is no stronger than a flower? How shall summer's honey breath hold out against the wrackful sage of battering days? And rocks impregnable are not so stout, or gates of steel so strong, but time decays. Shall time's best jewel from time's chest lie hid? Or what strong hand can hold his swift foot back? Or who his spoil of beauty can forbid? Oh, none. Unless this miracle have might, that in black ink my love may still shine bright.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.